Welcome to the VBToolBox. This tutorial is a short version of my previous tutorial on inserting and reading images from a Microsoft SQL Server Database. In this tutorial, I'll just be zipping through in the interest of time. The other tutorial will be linked below. If you want a more in-depth tutorial that shows you actually how to create your database and prepare it first off to receive images, as well as developing an application around that. So in this one, we're going to end up with a very simple bare bones insert and read sort of application. All I'm going to be doing is taking this image from the disk, it's in my debug folder, and inserting it into my SQL database and reading it back to the form. So the important thing here, this assumes that you already have a database prepared. If not, you want to make a database and a table to store your images in. And what I have here, as you can see, is an avatars table. And the important key in here specifically is the avatar column that will hold image data. So the data type in SQL Server is actually image, and that will store the binary data for your image. Additionally, I have a username column for indexing and quickly referencing that image in my SQL query. So again, I'm going to be kind of blazing through this one to keep it nice and short for those of you that didn't want to see all the details in creating the application. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my Management Studio here. And you can just create a new project and call it DB Images or whatever you want. I am creating a Windows Forms application here. So we're going to start off by just adding a picture box to our form to actually display the image when we're ready. You can call that whatever you want. I'm just going to call I'm going to name it PB Display. And I will be adding a class for managing my SQL connection and my query execution. So I'm going to right click in my Solution Explorer on my project header and add a class. I'm going to call it SQL Control. And I'm going to provide a link at the bottom. Again, this is just a super quick tutorial, I hope. So I'm just going to copy and paste from that class text into my new class, and that will have all of my query execution and parameter management for connecting and utilizing SQL Server in my application. The important thing for you to keep in mind is that if you use this, make sure that you set your connection string values so that you can actually connect to your own server. Again, I'm assuming that you already have a connection available and you just want a quick fix here. So this is my connector. I'm going to go ahead and jump back to my main form and go ahead and open the code interface here. So let's see, I want to import the system.io namespace because we're going to be working with some streams, data streams. So I'm going to say imports system.io. And once we have that, we're ready to roll. Now we need to provide an instance of our SQL Control Class. So I'm going to say private SQL as a new SQL control. And there's going to be two primary methods in this application, and that's one to upload the image to the database and another one to actually read it and draw it to our form. So first one is going to be the upload image sub. So I'm going to say private sub upload image, and I need to provide some sort of method to or parameters for adding, adding the username and the path to our image. So I'm going to say user as a string, path as a string. Alright, so now we have a nice empty sub here ready to go. So first thing I'm going to do is say exit the sub if no image was provided. So I'm going to say if string, whoops, actually I'll make a note here, exit if image not selected. I probably shouldn't even comment in this one since I'm trying to go fast. If string dot is null or empty, and we're referring to the path, meaning that the user did not provide an image path, then exit the sub. Okay. Now we want to get our image data through a memory stream. So what we're going to do, get image via memory stream, and we want to get the byte data from our image that's on disk. So I'm going to say dim image as image equals image dot from file, and provide a path to the image, which is going to come through our sub parameter. And next we're going to create an instance of the memory stream. So we're going to say dim ms as a new memory stream. And now we are going to save the image bytes, the information in the image, to that memory stream, so in its raw format. So I'm going to do img.save, and I'm going to provide the name of my memory stream, that's ms, and I want the image raw format to harvest the bytes from that. And then I'm going to create a buffer to store those bytes in, which is essentially just an array of bytes. And I'm going to fill that buffer with memory stream data by using ms.getBuffer. Okay. And next up, we want to add our username and image as SQL parameters for our insert command. So I'll say add SQL parameters. And here I'm going to say SQL add param. And for the user name, I'm just going to use @user. And the data that we want to provide to this variable is user. Next up, we're going to do SQL.addParam, and this is going to be a SQL parameter or variable for our image data from our memory stream. So I'm going to just call it image, and I want to provide the buffer. Now we're going to create our SQL insert command. So run the insert command. Here we're going to say SQL.execute query, and I'm going to create my insert statement. So I'm going to say insert into my avatars table in my database, and the columns that I want to insert are the username and the avatar byte data. Those are the columns, I'm sorry. The byte data will be in the values. So I'm going to go ahead and break this into 2 lines. And here I will specify the values. And I will use my parameters that I created. The user parameter is going to go into the username column. And the image data will go into the avatar column. I'll close that off. And one thing to make sure of is that you have a space here at the end of this string if you are doing a multi-line like I am. Otherwise, your values may show up right on the end here and your SQL query or command will not run. So now I'm going to report any errors that occurred if that does happen. I'm going to say if not string dot is null or empty SQL exception, and that's pulling from my SQLControl class right here. If an exception is caught, it'll report it from there. So then I want to report that error, so I'm going to say message box SQL.exception. Whoops, I don't want my execute query there. Sorry about that. All right, and that's all there is for the upload sub. Now we need a way to read or draw the avatar from that database field. So this is actually going to be the query on the other end. We're going to say private sub, and I'm going to call this one draw avatar. And for our parameters, I'm going to use the username again. So I'm going to say user as a string. And then the display surface will be whatever picture box or the target that you want to draw to is. So I'm going to say display as, in this case, I'm going to use a picture box. That's just where you're outputting the image to. Okay, so first step, we're going to add the parameter for the username to create a query. So here we're just going to query database for image bytes by the username. First parameter, I'm just going to say add param at user, and we're going to provide the user from our subparameter, and that's what we'll use for our query filter. Next step, we want to execute our query, so we're going to say execute query, and this is very simple. I'm just going to say select avatar from the avatars table where the username is equal to, and we will provide our SQL parameter at user. Now, if any errors are returned from our query, we're just going to abort our mission. So we'll say abort on errors. And I will say if not string is null or empty SQL.exception. Oops. Or else no images were returned. I'm going to use the record count for that. If the record count is less than 1, then exit the sub. Just allows us to crash gracefully. And now we're ready to retrieve our byte information from whatever avatar was queried. So what we'll do is we'll say fill and return the image data buffer. So we'll say dim buffer as an array of bytes, and we're going to make that equal to the SQL data set. First table returned and the first row returned. Whoops. Row. Whoop. And the column name that we want to return from our query is the avatar column. So I'm going to open up another set of parentheses here and call that column by name. All right. So if we were successful, this buffer should be filled with the image data. And then what we need to do is use the memory stream once again to essentially write that to our form, to our picture box. So say stream image data to picture box. Okay. And so what we'll do is we'll say if buffer is not nothing, if a null value is not returned, then using ms as a new memory stream using buffer, and for the want to start at the beginning and we want to go to the end of the buffer. So we'll say buffer dot length. Okay. So streaming from our buffer, starting at the very beginning, we want to stream to the end of the buffer. Then we use memory stream dot write buffer. Again, the offset is going to be the beginning, and the buffer, we want to go all the way to the end of the buffer. So we'll use buffer.length again. And once we've done that, we should be ready to display the image from that stream. So we'll say display image, display being our picture box that we're referencing from our subparameter. And the image, we want to set that picture box, set the image property on that picture box to be equal to the image stream. So we're going to say image.fromStream. The stream that we're using is ms, and use embedded color management, just set that to true. And that should be it. All right, so now we need to call upon these subs. And first we're going to upload the image, and then we're going to attempt to display it. In the full video, we use a open file dialog to actually, select an image that we want to upload from our machine, but we're just going to go ahead and run this directly from the image in the bin folder. So I'm actually going to have to make sure that that image exists in there first off. So I'm going to right click and open the solution here. Go into the bin and debug location. That image doesn't exist yet, so I'm going to copy that over. Just got to find it. There we go. I'm going to copy and paste that in there. I'm just using relative pathing, so it's automatically going to use my application directory here. And I will provide a link to these images, or you can just use your own image as desired. Or again, watch the full tutorial and show you how to actually browse your hard drive for an image of your choice. So first thing we need to do is provide a username. I'm just going to use Roger, and then we provide a path to our image. This can be any path on your hard drive, as long as you know where your image file is at. And because I'm using a relative path here, it's already in the directory, I'm just going to use guy2.png, and it should be happy with that. And then finally, after that's uploaded, I want to display it. I want to query the database and draw it back from the database. And if we did this right, it should show up in our form. So I'll say draw avatar, and the username that we added has to match the one that was uploaded. That's going to be in the username column of our database, so it needs to be Roger. And then we have to provide a display. So I want to use my picture box. PB display is what I added to the form. So we should be able to run this now, and if we have a successful connection to our database, it should upload the image into the database and display it back. And there you have it. You can set the properties on your picture box to stretch that image if you want. You can use this, change the size mode from normal to stretch image. Now, because we're doing this kind of quick and dirty here, we don't want to run this upload again, otherwise we're going to end up with 2 Rogers in the database. So he should already be in there because we just uploaded him. I'm going to disable that particular command, and it's reading successfully from the database. So all is well. Now, just want to show you one more thing here. If I go to my avatars table where we just uploaded this image to and select the top rows, we should be able to see that we added username Roger, and here's the image data that is stored. As I mentioned in the full tutorial, you know, it's generally not preferable to store a lot of images to your database, specifically large images. They will grow your database size immensely and very quickly if you have a lot of large images. Generally, it's best to just store an image path in here and then reference it from disk. But there are occasions where you actually want to store your image data directly into your database, and this is essentially how you do it. So all of our byte data is in there and ready to use. And that is essentially it. So I will provide a link to the full tutorial project in case you want to actually see how we created that nice application there, and you haven't seen that already. It is a long tutorial because I kind of explain everything in depth, and we make a little more robust application. So anyway, I hope that's been helpful, and hope this was a short enough tutorial for those of you that did not want to see all the long drawn out explanations. I hope that was helpful. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.